name is Vanessa. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date's October 8th, 2017, and I'm making this video right after another one, so that's why I'm wearing the same clothes. And I've been sleeping on this couch thing in my office area thing, and I'm not on a bed. I've been sleeping on my couch, so my life is super glamorous. Anyway, in another video I just finished talking about a book that I just finished reading. It is a long book, and I should have looked up the author's name, damn it, in the middle of this, but it's called The Recovering by Leslie something. It's really good. I recommend it. But anyway, in part of that book, she talks a lot about the relationships that she was in and how her alcoholism affected those relationships, the romantic relationships that she had. I was thinking about that, and then today I just had a really weird day. I was driving and I was getting off the freeway and at a stoplight, and I saw this guy walking across the crosswalk, and he looked exactly like an ex-boyfriend of mine. And he had a backpack on, he had a beanie on, and he had, some clothes that were just kind of tattered, and he was mumbling to himself, and you could tell he wasn't being coherent, he wasn't talking to anybody, he was just rambling, and he looked exactly like my ex. But then I looked at his shoes, and those were not shoes that my ex ever worn, so I was like, no, that's not him, I hope. And it's interesting because he was actually the second boyfriend that I had that had an addiction to drugs. And when I first met him, I didn't know that he was an addict. We were in a relationship for 2 years, off and on. But the whole relationship was just completely unhealthy. And while I was in the relationship with him, I just constantly craved the chaos that we were always in. And there were some strange signs in the beginning that he, was not well. But I was an alcoholic, so I didn't know any better. So we were together for 2 years, and in that time he relapsed a couple of times that I knew of. But it was interesting that those times that he'd relapsed, his behavior had changed so dramatically that I just remember being like, who am I even in a relationship with? I was just so confused. We got into an argument the last time, and he called the cops on me, and I was arrested for domestic violence. And at that time, I was incredibly bitter and just angry and just so resentful. I remember being in rehab and reading an article about somebody that had fallen off the cliffs at Sunset Cliffs down here in San Diego, and I remember wishing that it was him. Please let it be him. Please let it be him. And of course it wasn't him. But I just had I had never felt that level of hatred for anybody before. I wasn't doing the steps or anything, and then the first time I went through the steps, and we go through something called, the inventory, and we made a list of all our resentments, and he was not on the list. My sponsor at the time was like, didn't you have a boyfriend who called the cops on you or something, or and it was just I couldn't. At that point, I had become so desensitized to what I felt towards him that I didn't think I was still resentful. And now when I am taking somebody through the book and we're doing the 4th step, and they're like, well, I'm not really mad at anybody, or which is everything that I used to say. Just put down anybody that makes you feel like you just got punched in the gut. It's whoever gives you that feeling of ugh, or whoever gives you that feeling, you need to put them on the list. And that's how he eventually finally made it on the list. And it was interesting to do the step work, because in doing that, I realize now I created this environment in which we both just got sicker and sicker. Because there were numerous times when he tried to break the cycle of hey, we need to stop drinking. He tried to create healthier ways of us communicating and building trust. But I wasn't interested in any of that, because I was interested in my alcoholism, and then, and I wasn't interested in growing as a person, basically. I also had hurt people around our relationship. My parents were not why are you in this relationship with this person? Because of course what they were hearing was that everything was his fault. And his parents had a better grasp of everything because they'd already been through the whole recovery thing with him. They'd seen him in and out of rehab. They'd seen him in and out of jails. They'd seen him, homeless, living on the streets. They'd seen him in the county. We have a county prison here, and these are all things that I learned during the relationship. These were not things that he was going around advertising when we started dating. But anyway, so when I saw that guy today crossing the street, and I could tell that he was, on drugs. It wrecked my heart because I had never really stopped to consider or think of my ex on the streets, high on drugs, losing his mind, and being somebody that in my alcoholism I would have walked by and been like, oh, there's the scum of the earth, junkie, and because that's something that I would have said. I was just that, self-absorbed and shut down that I had no compassion for anybody. And to see what he would have looked like, it just oh my gosh, it broke my heart, and it gave me a completely different, I of course I'd already worked past on, the resentment and everything, and I did try making an amends to him about a year and a half ago to a year ago, and it didn't go well. He because he understands that steps and everything, he basically told me your amends are done, and then called me a series of names that were very creative. I have to say, it was pretty impressive. It reminds me how much damage we can do when we are in our addiction. And then to make things worse, and then I drove to the grocery store because I have a great salad bar and I was gonna grab some lunch, and I go into the salad bar. And by the way, this is in a neighborhood where his parents definitely do live. And I just live right around the corner from it. And I saw this lady, and I swear it looks like his mother. And I flipped out. I sat in my car and waited for this person. And I'm 99% sure it was not her, but it looked exactly like her. And I was like, am I just losing my mind today? It's all this guilt. And it occurred to me that I never did make my amends to her, because I did, I did some awful things to their family, quite honestly. And there's still thinking about it now and thinking about everything that I put my parents through, and just seeing the hurt that I caused them. I'm now understanding that his parents were also witnessing all of the pain and having to go through all of that anxiety as well because of our relationship. Something that definitely resonates with me is that was a resentment that I thought I could never get over. I thought for sure that was a resentment that I was going to hold on to, and I felt like I was justified in it. He called the cops on me and got me sent in jail for 3.5 months. Who does he think he is? And blah blah blah. But it was Vanessa, did you forget all the 2 years leading up to that one phone call? It was, and it's not it's necessarily my fault or his fault. It's these were just two very sick people that should not have been in a relationship together. They should have separately gotten help. And I just, seeing all of that, it broke my heart for every addict and alcoholic that's still out there, because the struggle is very real and it's very tough. And if you're struggling right now, just know that I know what you're feeling. It's not a good feeling. It's a very isolating feeling. And you're not alone. I strongly encourage you to get into your room of AA and get into a meeting and listen to other people's stories. Even if you don't want to go, AA is not for everybody. Some people don't want to go through all the 12 steps because it's super intensive, a lot of work, and it's not easy work. So just sometimes being in a room with other people that have experienced things that you've experienced can be pretty helpful. So I've gotten a lot of emails over this holiday period of people that are struggling, people that have gotten more DUIs, and it's not surprising, but it's still sucks, you know. It sucks, and I've been thinking about that a lot. Just like there's a lot of people out there still struggling, and I don't think it's something that's ever gonna fully go away because there's always gonna be people that are looking for a solution that's not inside of them. Anyway, I guess that's all the rambling that I have to do. I don't even know that that necessarily had a point, but it felt good to say it. So, alright, I hope you guys have a great night.